So today I'm joined by Odun, founder of Insight 7, former Shopify product lead, and a builder who's obsessed with turning real customer conversations into insights that actually drive growth. Odun, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thanks, Zoe. I'm super excited to join your show and just share a little bit from my experience with other people who might find that useful. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks for making the time to join us. So Odun, I remember Shopify days. We had a Hack Days project together. I think we worked on solving conversation commerce. Funny enough, that made it into production, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. That was my first exposure to your entrepreneurial drive, because I know you drove a lot of the product vision for that Hack Days project, and I was more of the executor kind of thing.
Yeah.
But just out of curiosity, where did all of this entrepreneurial piece, itch start from for you? Like, what's the genesis? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
That's a great question. Yeah, it's when I think about it, I think the itch came from when I was, really young, teenage years. I love to build and create things, solve problems. But I think a defining moment for me was just like seeing my dad grow up, and I didn't think he had enough. It felt like he was vulnerable to the decisions of other people around him. And especially like at work, and I saw some things that were happening, where he worked, and I didn't like the fact that he brought, some of that energy to the home front. And I was just like, yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense you need to be able to control the outcomes of your life. And so I always, from that moment, from when I was young, just seeing my dad grow up, I wanted to control the outcomes around my life. And so that was always behind a lot of the things that I was thinking about and doing. But then as I grew and landed in technology, I started computer engineering. I found a way to marry that ambition to control outcomes with, building products, serving people, creating value. And so that's what I'm doing today, just working with a great team, people who are super passionate, who love to build, solving problems for customers, and controlling the outcomes as much as possible.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, that's it's different how the response to that question is very different for everyone. Yeah. And so you've taken that on full force now. So Insight 7 has been around for how many years have you been out in production?
Yeah, we're hitting year 4. This will be our 4th year in business. And yeah, it's been an exciting journey. Every year is different, but our ambition has remained the same. In fact, I think our ambition has grown. We have really massive goals this year, and we're on track. We're looking good in terms of how the market is responding to the things that we're working on. So yeah, it's been good.
We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but maybe in a sentence or two, what problem are you solving with Insight 7? That's a very tight elevator pitch.
I would rather focus more on the mission, because one thing we've learned in the market is the scope of what you're working on will change, would evolve, right? I know Jeff Bezos had this popular quote about being stubborn on the vision and being flexible on the detail. And that's the reality of any business that survives long term, because the market is always shifting, right? You have to adapt. And so our mission is to unlock insights for businesses to drive innovation. That's what we're focused on, just democratizing insights that will drive innovation. And innovation is not always those massive, big ideas. It's not always the electric cars and the rocket ships type of projects. It can also be incremental. It can also be just improving things every day, products and services. And so a lot of us are innovating every day, and we want to be the company powering that decision-making process for every business. And so we solve problems around conversational data. So unlocking insights from conversational data, customer data, business conversations, using that to drive decisions around performance, around revenue optimization. So multiple use cases, improving customer satisfaction. So that's the space we play in, just giving businesses the tools and the intelligence to drive decision-making for business growth.
Interesting. And you mentioned that you've seen a lot of a lot of movement in this space with regards to businesses leveraging these sort of insights. I imagine you're leveraging AI to provide this solution like heavily. Is that right?
Absolutely. We're AI native. I was just thinking about this funny before this call that we're probably the only one of the very few businesses that are AI native and don't mention AI on their website. Like if you go to our website, you probably will not see any trace of AI on the website, but we're AI at the core, and I don't think businesses care about like whether you're using AI or not. They just care about you solving their problems.
I love that take, and I love the way you're approaching it. Do you think there will come a time whereby it just becomes second nature or given? Like people
Of
don't,
course, we're
because
already
it's
getting there.
yeah,
You will not see, yeah. Go ahead.
it's such a buzz these days. Like people want to make sure they have some sort of, especially in their marketing language and copy. Like yeah. But at some point, do you feel Do you think that's gonna change like drastically? If so, like how far
Yeah.
are we from that world? Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, sometimes when we're trying to optimize the website or, do things differently, we're tempted to like, okay, should we just slap like some AI terminologies here? But it feels like what, 10, 20 years ago when, applications started to come to the web. Imagine a company or a startup today saying that they're internet powered or they're cloud based. No one's going to do that, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of time. I think it's already happening. Like you go to website, there's less of like where AI this and that. Nobody really cares. Everybody assumes that you have to be using AI today.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost a given, right? Yeah. Okay. So what other trends are you seeing? What other trends are you seeing in the market today?
In what area? The trends everywhere. Which area do you want me to
So when
speak
it
of?
comes, because a lot of businesses you work on are like around customer, you're leveraging your customer interactions. I mean, every business has their customers, right? Whether those are other businesses or other individuals. In that space, what are the disruptors are you seeing that businesses are looking for, or that are going to change things, down the road for how these businesses operate?
Yeah, maybe I'll speak more to like what is kind of counterintuitive right now. So you're having a lot of everybody's talking about how AI is disrupting everything and businesses are, doing things differently, leveraging AI. But what we're seeing in the market is very different. I think a lot of hype you're seeing today around agents and stuff is happening on X or LinkedIn, right? The reality is your average business is still looking for a way to integrate the modern technologies into their workflows, into their operations in a way that helps them be reliable to their own customers, helps them be safe and secure, helps them, grow the business, doesn't keep them up at night, things like that. So I think the counterintuitive thing we're seeing in the market is that businesses aren't adopting the AI as quickly as everybody's talking about it, right? Everybody, like the average business, at least mid-size, maybe SMBs, maybe they are, they don't have that much complexity in their business. But the mid-sized businesses, enterprise-sized businesses, they are taking their time to find the right partners, find the right technologies to solve specific problems in their workflows and make sure that technology is not disruptive to their primary business, right? And so the things that we're seeing that really matter to these businesses is like, hey, of course, data security, how you handling my data, where you storing it. I hope I'm not going to get in trouble for trying to, improve my processes or do certain things differently, right? So security is a big piece. Reliability is a big piece. How does this thing work? How does it work consistently? How does it not disrupt how we do things today? Ease of use is also like a big piece. Like it always comes up. We want something that's super easy to use, products that do not require a massive learning curve, something that will be accessible to everyone within the org. Self-service as well. Can we self-service this product without reaching out to you all the time? And so buyers are more exposed. They're more informed and they're more intentional about the products they want today. So they come to the meeting informed, right? You're there, you're trying to ask basic discovery questions. And they're like, yeah, we've done our research. We've looked you up. We looked up your website. We have an idea of what you do. We know how you stack rank against like competition. And so you better be trying to share unique insights with those buyers who are coming to you. So that's kind of like high level what we're seeing in the market today.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned adoption of AI. Would you say because there are different products and businesses that are also thinking about this. In terms of the demand and supply, how does that balance out today? Do you feel like there's still a total addressable market is growing? Is it, and the stats you mentioned, is that just specific to the US market, or you're seeing that in Canada and other markets as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. A couple of things, like the US market is way advanced, right? So if you're serving the US market today, which is our primary market, you kind of like are ahead of the curve, right? The European market, Asian market, African market, those markets are following the trajectory of US in terms of adoption. US is less risk averse, more embracive of new technology. And so whatever the state of things in the US, just know that the market is the rest of the market is behind, right? And so if the US is not adopting AI as quickly as people are talking about it kind of shows you where things are, right? Yeah, so I strongly believe that this, like, we're going to see businesses leverage these technologies. Like, there's no doubt every business wants to save money, wants to grow revenue. Those are the two primary reasons why you have, like, why you have a business. And AI is an enabler of those things, right? And so it's no doubt that every business is going to adopt AI in some way, shape, or form, right? But I think the reality of what AI can do is it really dependent on the business, the industry, the workflow, the regulatory framework, so many other factors beyond me going to a chatbot and just asking like very simple questions, right? It's way more complex than that. And so there's that. You hear a thing. I think it's good to like have those conversations, and it's kind of like a reminder of, hey, this is coming. Like, this is going to happen. This is inevitable, right? But the broader market is still behind in terms of where, we all believe it is, or where we think it's going to be, right? Adoption is still like very early in certain areas. Now, of course, within the broader landscape, there's still so many other shifts happening, right? So all of a sudden, everybody can build. And so today you're having probably like the greatest number of startups that have ever existed in such a short period of time. And so buyers are even more confused. You go online, go to Google or LLMs, and you're trying to find a solution. You have like 100 options. Where do you start from? It's very difficult to do that research. It's very difficult to, compare, know which provider works for your business, things like that. And so for startups right now, it's more difficult than ever to be seen, to get customers, to grow those customers, or even retain those customers, because there's someone else who's coming up with something, another approach. And so everything is in a flux right now, and it's going to be a battle for a couple of years for the true winners to emerge. So I think it's still very early days to crown anyone like winner. And of course, there's some startups that are way ahead of others, but it's still very early days. And I think over the next 5 to 10 years, then we'll start to see the true winners emerge.
Yeah. Very, very good angle there. I'm just switching gears a little bit. So, you've spent so many years in the so-called corporate world, working, the different, big techs and whatnot. And this has been a slight shift for you because you're running your own ship now, right? It's been a few years. Bring us into a day in the life of a CEO as Odun, what does a typical day look like for you?
Wow. My days are not very predictable. There are also like a few core activities I spend my time on. I start my day very early. We have a distributed team, so some folks are in other time zones. So I'm typically up by 4, 5 a.m. and it's usually straight to work. So, jump into meetings, make sure the team is aligned. My job is clarity, making sure there's clarity for the entire business. And so I'm always keeping that, as a priority. Just make sure everybody understands what the priority is at any given time and the order of those priorities, and unblocking people, just making sure that nothing stands in the way of getting things done. And that's like my biggest priority. And once I do that in the morning time, then I probably start to attend to things that only, I can do. Deep work, we need to prepare for like a pitch, sales, following up with, prospects, handling customers, making sure they're happy. I spend a lot of time on product, just making sure that we're building the next thing, but also improving what we've built so far, and working with the team collaboratively to make that happen. So I spend a lot of time, with our engineering team, with our design team. And then through the rest of the day, it's mostly like sales activities and customer satisfaction and things like that. If I'm lucky, have some time to create some content I put on LinkedIn.
I love those. By the way. I'm always watching your basketball, your hoops.
But I haven't been as consistent. It's been very busy for a few days, so I haven't been as consistent there. But yeah, just trying to make sure that we are aligned as a team, building the right things, serving customers well, and then from time to time looking out for great talent. So I'm very involved in our hiring process, making sure that we're attracting the right people and we can bring on the right people to help us, get to the next level. So those are my core responsibilities. I don't spend a lot of time looking for funding. We're customer funded today. And yeah, just really focused on the market and how we can continue to serve customers.
When you said 4 to 5 a.m. you're up, I know you talk about time zones. It just reminded me, the Shopify days, 8 a.m. on the floor. There's always Odun there. You're like always an early bird, and so I'm just curious. Like, are there any habits that you've kind of borrowed from working in high growth environments like Shopify and all that you're applying and running your own ship today?
That's a great question. I think I learned a lot of things from Shopify and just being exposed to such like you said, high growth environment and a company at that scale. I think a lot of the practices and the kind of principles of running such an organization, and it wasn't just about the size, it was the fact that Shopify was always thinking about how to be more efficient, how to move quickly, how to elevate craft and quality of work, things like that. And so I think Shopify's culture has had a lot of influence in our own culture today. So how we run meetings, we try not to spend time in meetings. I try to make sure that we have more time doing the real work than spending time, in meetings. We do a lot of asynchronous communication. We do a lot of writing to share ideas and context. Spend a lot of time doing product and design reviews. We are very intentional about design. We spend a lot of time just making sure that our design shines through. And a lot of customers, testify to that today. We also have a high bar and we are very, very direct with feedback. One of the things that I believe is critical to a high performing team is feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are not able to provide very direct feedback, but I think it's super critical to both the company, the team, and the individual. Like if someone doesn't have feedback about their performance, how are they going to improve? Right? You can't just expect them to improve. You have to give them feedback and then coach. So many organizations don't do those two things. They don't give feedback, let alone coach on how to get better, right? And I've seen that firsthand. And so we're doing that very, very differently here. We try to hire great people, but we try to make sure that they have the visibility into where they can improve and they have the guidance to actually get better. I think that's one of the things that's worked out well for us is how we handle talent and being very decisive about when it's not working out, not wasting time on that, but doing it in a very fair, empathetic way.
Excellent. So just going back to your day as a CEO, and founder, you're looking at all parts of the business from hiring great talent to just your performance as well, and just everything that really gets the business going. What are two things that keeps you up at night?
Great question. So to be very honest, like by the time I work between like 4 a.m. and maybe 8 p.m., I'm spent. There's nothing. Literally, I'm sleeping. I'm so tired. My brain is done. Toast. And I'm just sleeping soundly. Nothing's keeping me up at night, like literally, but I understand the question. I think the two things I would say And the things that keep me up at night kind of like vary or evolve based on where we are and what's going on in the business. So, but I would say right now, top two things would be one, what's next? I don't wait for, I try to like figure out the next phase of growth before we get there. So I'm usually like 1 or 2 years ahead of where the business is, or try to be. I think that's my job. So I'm already thinking about what's next for us and trying to reflect on the last year and some of the things that have shifted in our business and how we respond to that. So that's number one. And then number two is just people, like talent, just making sure we have the right people in the right roles. They're getting the right support and we're elevating the quality of the team where we can. Just being able to attract, the right people and also empower our people. So as we scale, as we do all this more, ambitious projects and more complex things, our people need to scale to keep up. And so I'm really thinking about how we empower our people and support them to get to the next level. So those are the two things I would say are top of mind for me right now.
Yeah. That's an interesting take there. The team matters a lot, right? And yeah, is there anything that you've kind of tweaked or done differently, especially when it comes to like attracting the right talent? Or is there anything that maybe you did at the start didn't really work out, and then now you're doing differently when it comes to attracting like top talent?
Yeah. So I think in the early days, it's always challenging when you don't have a brand, you're not known for anything, you don't have you're just building out the product to have customers. Like it's very difficult to attract talent that way. And I wouldn't say we attracted talent in the early days. We kind of like went to look for, kind of sort talent out, right? And so it was more of just putting out those jobs on popular job sites, but being very intentional about the hiring process, the kind of people we're hiring. Two things we look out for the most of everything, of attributes, humility and being very smart, right? So we want people who are super intelligent, but also humble enough to not get in their own way. They can get feedback, they can be calm in situations, they can collaborate well with other people. So those two things I think we look out for. And then of course there's so many other things where, we believe, other skills can enhance the quality of our team, right? And so that's how we built the team in the early days. But now I think we're at a point where more people know about us. We're having more inbound interests we just hired an engineer who just reached out. He did a lot of research, liked what we were doing, and now he's joined our team. So we're getting to that point, and we think we want to elevate that a lot more as we get into the next phase. And yeah, just continue to, and also like make focus on keeping the current team engaged, having fun. Startups are brutal. They're very difficult, but we try to make sure we care for our people. We have, things like floating holidays where you could take like one Friday off a month so we can rest and recharge and get back at it. Yeah. So we do a number of things to make sure that we care for our people. They're getting better on their jobs. They're learning. And there's also that incentive for them to make sure that we succeed, right? Yeah. And we just want to take that to the next level right now.
Excellent. Hey, thanks for sharing your insights on Insight 7. No pun intended. These are some really great gems, and gonna keep cheering you on here. But just to wrap things up, would you have any advice for, you mentioned about how there's a gap in the market with regards to adoption of AI businesses for founders who are looking to either there's two camps of people. Ones who are, the actual innovators who are going into that space, but also businesses who probably who have a lot more room to adopt or leverage these technologies. Like, what advice would you have for these two camps?
So the businesses and the founders who are trying to build for them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll start with the businesses. I think for businesses, forward-thinking founders and execs are already looking for ways to integrate AI. A lot of them have said, hey, 2026 is the year of AI for us. We're going to figure out ways to integrate AI into our workflows and do things better. So a lot of businesses are already thinking about that. I think in terms of words of advice, it would be like, hey, keep it simple. be very clear on the scope and the goal that you want to achieve, and just focus on a very narrow scope of solution that could move the needle on that goal. Like, don't just, buy AI because it's the buzzword. Like, look for areas of your business, define the scope of problems, and then find the right solutions to address those problems. And then for founders who are trying to build, I think they have to realize that it's a process to build, new solutions and take them to market and get product market fit and scale. So I call it the 0 to 1 phase. I've actually recorded a series around this, a 5-part series on building 0 to 1. So how do you find a market? How do you find the right problem? How do you find product market fit? How do you pivot? How do you distribute your product? And it's going to go on YouTube in a couple of days.
What channel can people find this?
It's going to go on my personal channel,
okay,
which is not live yet, but I think it's going to be at Odun 7. That will be the handle.
Cool.
So yeah, that's going to go up in a couple of days. And yeah, I think those who are starting out will learn a lot from that. But there's a process. You can't really rush that process. There's typically like a 2-year window to go from 0 to a decently mature product that customers find valuable enough to pay for it. And what you're trying to do is maybe there's opportunity to condense those 2 years into like 1 year or something. But it's always at that period where you're probably not making a lot of money and you're trying to figure out where what you're building fits into the market. And yes, you see all the hype around how some companies went from 0 to a couple $1 million in 6 months or 3 months, but that's not how businesses are built. People should make sure, founders to be, should make sure that they're not chasing hype. They are focused on serving customers with carefully crafted products that serves specific problems. And if they keep at it and they make the right decisions on that journey, then they'll be fine.
Awesome. Odun, thanks again for all the insights and sharing your experience with us. And we'll stay connected here. And thanks again for joining the show.
Fantastic. Thank you for having me. It was a delight just sharing a few things. And yeah, looking forward to doing this again.
Likewise. Yeah. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.